Welcome back, all my Dark Knights. Welcome back, YouTube. You guys remember this damage bucket? So what are we going to be talking about today? We're going to be saving you some time, and we're going to be saving you some gold and some resources. We're going to be talking about we get done with the dungeon and we have all this material in our inventory. We want to sift through this as fast as we can, get as much gold as we can back, and make sure we are not wasting all these resources in a piece of gear that we think is good, and reality, it's garbage, and we need to get rid of it. I don't want this happening to you guys. I'm going to save you time and gold and material. Let's get into this. Welcome back, all my Dark Knights. Hey, if you guys are enjoying this, if you guys are learning something, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for sure. Comment below, give me an emoji if you got nothing to say. If you don't have anything to say, answer this. What makes the sky blue? The person that answers will get a shout out in the next video. What we're going to talk about today, we are piggybacking off of the last video. The last video is about damage buckets. We're going to be talking about my one-handed weapon. This works for all damage gears. So two-handed weapons, you can put in rings in this situation. Depends on whatever gear that you want, but we are talking about damage. Let's pretend like we just finished a dungeon and now we're scanning through our gear. Granted, in this video, we are specifically talking about damage gear, so we're not talking about scanning through armor. We will get to that in the next video. Next few videos, we're going to be talking about damage reduction. We're going to be talking a little bit about HP, and then we'll talk about picking out armor. It'd be the same concept as this kind of video, but it'll be on the armor side versus this is going to be on the weapon side and the damage side. So just keep that in mind, guys, is that this is not saying that the armor is any different. This is very similar. You have breakthrough levels, so I will put that in this video right over here. We will show you what those levels are, and we're also going to piggyback on the damage bucket, so make sure you check that video out. It will be in the description below. If you haven't checked that out or don't know what I'm talking about, jump in that video, follow up with that, come back here then later, and you'll kind of get a better idea of what we're talking about, because we won't be getting into that too in depth. We're just looking at how to scan through gear when we hit dungeons and how to see what type of gear we actually want to keep, because when we're upgrading these things, it costs a lot of money. I kind of got a couple of things that I like to think about on what I will spend my money on and what I won't. So that's we're basically trying to save ourselves some money here and resources here. That's kind of the purpose of this whole video, is since we know about the buckets, since we know about damage, we're going to use this to save some money here. We're going to save money, and we're going to save time by scanning through this, hopefully a little bit faster. Let's get into this, guys. I basically, when I start scanning through these gears, I work from the top down. So the breakthrough item level, we are going to be looking at that first, and that's our item power. So I'm almost at level 80, guys, so I am really not interested in anything under 725. Actuality, anything like 780 or below, I just almost instantly sell. Like the FX's damage is not going to be there. The damage per second is not going to be there. Pretty much everything is going to be lower. So that's what I look for. So when I'm scanning through these three items down here, this is our example for the video, guys. Just please bear along with me. This is just layman's terms. So I see the 650. I'm like, I see the 750. I'm like, okay, yep, we're doing that. 730, it's like, oh, that's close. Level 6, so that's good. We might look at this. But this one right here, we're selling it. Boom, it's gone, right? We're not worrying about it. Well, we are going to use the FXs in here for our thing. But anyways, we're getting rid of that, right? So now we're down to 2 pieces of gear, right? Then we go down the next one. So now we're looking at the damage per second. Obviously, you kind of want the highest damage per second, but you also want to pay attention to the damage per hit as well. The damage per second is not, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand, but I want the damage per hit. That's going to help me out a lot. The higher that number is, the more damage I'm doing. So once we have that, something we like, I want the 1000 and up. That's what I want. Then we will grab that. For me, I have a mace right now, but I really don't want the overpower damage. That's going to be our next one we look at. We will look up our damage per second as well for like the speed of the weapon. But for me, I am pretty much just looking at maces and axes, and they're both the same. They're both 1.1. It will be different when you have your two-handers, so pay attention to that as well. For my next one, overpower damage. I don't really want overpower damage on this specific class. That's more for the bear. I'm going to be a wolf. I actually want an axe. Axe is going to give me damage to healthy enemies. So when I first start hitting them, it's going to allow me to do damage to this when I first hit something. And then my barber is going to proc off that higher damage. So that's going to give it a snowball effect. That is going to have higher damage initially. So that's going to pool into when that procs. And then when that procs, that damage is going to then proc into other things. And it's just going to get larger and larger as we snowball effect. We're going to look at this. And for me, since I know about these damage buckets, the first thing I see immediately is I'm like, willpower. Awesome. Let's get into this, guys, real quick before we get too far. Make sure, guys, hit your escape button for all my PC guys. For you console guys, I don't know what button it is. It's probably start or select or whatever. I don't know. Get into your options. Get into your gameplay. You're going to want these advanced tool tips on here. You're going to want compare and information. You want both of these selected so that way you can see what we got going on here. So now that we have those selected, we're going to, my eyes immediately when I'm looking at these affixes, I immediately see willpower because I know that's in its own specific damage bucket. I have willpower in the same damage because that's obviously what my class is. So it's going to be obviously, like I said, go back to the, like you have to see the damage bucket video because you have to know every class has its own major attribute that it likes. Druid is going to be willpower. So I see that and I'm like, I'm 40 of 42. I'm like, that is what I like. Willpower is the same thing as vulnerable for me. Like I see both of those two. If I see two of those, I'm like, all right, we're moving, we're cooking. So anyways, guys, we're trying to transition into upgrading this gear, right? So that's kind of our main thing. We want the highest breakthrough level, and then we want as many damage buckets as we can. So now willpower is in one damage bucket. So that's one FX out of 4 that I like, all right? I'm not gonna roll anything unless it's 3 of 4. Why I won't roll something or upgrade something or trying to change an affix if it's 2 out of 4, it's not worth it. You're gonna spend 30, 40, 50. I've seen some guys spend 200 million gold on one piece of gear. So if you're rolling, worst case scenario, you're rolling for a 3 of 4 because you started at 2, so you're just trying to increase it to 3 of 4 and you're gonna spend 200 million. That's not worth it. No, we're not doing that. So that's kind of the point of this video. We're trying to save you guys resources and we're trying to save you guys material and gold. So we got one willpower and it's on the higher spectrum. That's something we want to roll. We're liking this. Then we move over here to the critical strike damage. And then I'm like, oh no, it says with earth skills. Oh no, like I don't want that. I want critical strike damage just flat because then it is everything. Anytime I critically strike something, it's counting for that. But now this is only for earth skills. I don't want that. It's too narrow of an opportunity. I want broad strokes. So now my possible 1, I have 1 good item. I don't have 2 now. I really don't want this. So now I'm of 1 of 4 so far. So I'm just like, oh, this is bad. Okay, we move to the next one. Lucky hit. Oh, this ain't good. What kind of lucky hit do we got? Up to a 3.5% chance to execute injured non-elites. It's 3.5 out of 7%. It's on the lower spectrum. I don't want it. I don't want it. It's too low and I really don't like lucky hits. It's just not worth it to me. I want something that's gonna add damage. That does add damage, but it's too small of a percentage. So now I'm of 1 of 3 that I like. I'm like, I can't, this isn't worth it. I already got to sell this. I got to sell it now. I got to get rid of it. I'm just going to throw it down here, guys, for example. I pretend like I sold it. And then I move to the next item. So this is why, like, see how much time this is taking? This is taking a lot of time. This is why if it's not at 750, 775, almost 800, I don't even waste time on it. This is just an example, guys, but look how much time we wasted on a piece of gear that we just sold, you know? So this is why you want to understand what's going on, how to look through these items, how we save time. This item is the mace. I already don't want it. I don't want overpower damage. So I'm selling this. What is this? We're at axe. Okay, item power is too low. I'm probably going to sell it right away, but let's just keep working through this. This is this example, guys. Obviously, I like the damage to healthy enemies. Okay, I look through these really quick and I don't see anything I like. I just don't. I don't see a vulnerable. I don't see a critical strike. I don't see a willpower. I see an ultimate skill damage, which I like, but I'm already going to sell this one. I want as many damage buckets, and I just don't have damage buckets. The damage to slow is great because that would be its own damage bucket, but that is actually going to go into damage to healthy enemies. So those two are going to add on to each other. I don't even want it. I want a vulnerable. I want a willpower. I want a critical strike damage. And then my fourth one, that's something I would roll for. So that's something I would roll for either critical strike, chance, something like that. And then I'll have all my 4 damage buckets. I really wouldn't want a damage to anything because I already have damage to healthy enemies. Granted, if I rolled a damage to injured enemies, that would be perfect as well, because then I would have the top one. The axe has damage to healthy enemies. So then once that's gone, I would have damage to injured. So now I would have always a damage to something, and that's a damage bucket. That's pretty much what we're going to roll for. Maybe we want a lucky hit chance. Maybe we're a necro and things of that sort. So there's that other one that you could want, you know, or maybe you want something that adds something specific to your class. You know, there's a lot of different variables that could be used. But anyways, guys, that's just a quick tutorial of how we're scanning through gear. We want to increase our time that we're playing this game because this is a very friction area. Looking through gear is kind of a pain in the butt, you know. It's going to help us selling gear, like getting money faster, not wasting material on specific items. Anyways, guys, the list goes on about why it's better to just know things about the game, and we're saving money. We're saving resources. So if you guys have learned anything from this video, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button, share the video to your clan members, share the video to a friend or two that might learn something from this as well. Take a look at my channel. We're going to have the damage reduction coming up. We're going to have how we look at that gear coming up. That'll be a little series we got flowing. We got a lot of this stuff coming to the channel, guys. All right, guys. So thanks for hanging out. We will see you on the next one. Damage reduction stuff coming soon. We'll see you guys. Have a good one.